Good friends beat each other up and then have a drink about it later. Do I want to win? Like, yeah, then gotta do it. But it's not fun.
My name is Max Turcotte-Novosedlik. I'm 29 years old. I compete in boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I train out of Celtic Hammer Boxing Club and Evolution BJJ. Actually, I'm an aerospace engineer, but in between jobs right now. I started as an athlete essentially when I could walk and kick a ball. I played soccer as early as 5 years old, and I was always playing recreational with the boys. There's never really enough girls around to have just kind of girls leagues, so I always played co-ed. I found that once I was done school and I was in the workforce, that doing a 9 to 5 and then going home and doing nothing wasn't really a life for me. Like I found there was just a part of me missing, so I decided to look around Ottawa for a school. And I found this place close to where I lived at the time. He had grappling and boxing. John was there actually. He was teaching the youth boxers and some of the adult classes. And Aiden, my jiu-jitsu coach, was teaching out of that school as well. I started with just kind of one class a week. So the no-gi stuff is when I started in. My main training partner, Adrian, he's the one who actually used to teach it. He's been my main training partner since day one. I kind of have dedicated myself to that life since. I came to realize that my passion for sports and for competition is just so much stronger than wanting to sit at a desk and just, do a job. I think in terms of picking combat sports as an avenue, it's one of those things where, you're pitting your entire mental and physical being against somebody else. If you let up in track and field, okay, maybe you get second or third place. If you let up in a fight, you get hit. There's more of a sense of urgency, and there's obviously the danger component too, but that's what's so exciting about it. Literally anything could happen within a split second. I love it. Like I can't explain why, other than that I do. I just know it feels right for me to do. I think the biggest part of it is you have to have a goal. You have to have something to anchor yourself to. It's one thing to tell yourself, keep going. It's another where it's like, keep going because you want this. It's like anything in life. If you want to get a certain job, or you want to get a degree, or you want to lose weight or fit into something, like you have that goal and you have to anchor yourself to it 100%. It really is a you versus you game. The biggest opponent is yourself. It's never the person across from you. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it, which means fighting my mind and telling myself to not stop. Like, you want this. And remember all of those nights that you spent just being sad because you want this life more than you want to be sitting at a desk. The hours you put in, all the sweat, all the pain you experience, like, that's not for nothing. Remember, you're trying to chase something. Like, don't stop, don't quit.
My name is Marija Curran. I'm 31 years old. I fight out of Beaver Boxing in Ottawa, and I am the Canadian light heavyweight champion. I've boxed on and off for about 15 years, but I only got competitive 3 years ago. I grew up in a household, I was the youngest of 5, and I had 3 older brothers, and I got beat up a lot when I was younger. My brothers, they all played competitive rep hockey, And my parents put my one brother into Jiu-Jitsu. I insisted that I go as well. And so I started taking Jiu-Jitsu when I was 10 years old. And then as I got more competitive and I was a teenager, I started taking boxing lessons to help with my hand game, because I did sport jiu-jitsu, and that's a lot of punching, kicking, throwing, wrestling. And so to help tighten up my hand game, I enrolled in boxing classes. I started into competitive boxing because I had finished grad school and I kind of wasn't focusing on my health during that time, so I got a bit heavier than I'm comfortable with, and I thought, like, I really need to start working out again, and I don't like classic conventional gym workouts. Being a successful boxer goes beyond just boxing. You need to have an all-encompassing approach to your training. A lot of that is focused around strength and conditioning. I fight in a weight category that would be considered heavy. I'm the smaller boxer in the bunch, and that's not very typical. Usually you want to be the bigger person. So I invest a lot of time, at least 3 times a week, into strength and conditioning training.
Like if you're exiting with tight guard here, she's not going to come around on this side and thing, but just make sure this is up. And when you're going this way, make sure this one's up. Okay. Bam, bam, and then stepping to the side. Okay.
I am a full-time public servant and a very competitive boxer. And to balance the two, it's not easy. It takes a lot of scheduling and the abandonment of a social life. You'll wake up in the morning often, you'll go to training, you'll come home, take a quick shower, work, go to training after work, come home, shower, eat, sleep, meal prep in between. If it was just boxing and work, that would be manageable, but it's never just that. That's where life gets hard. Missing out on things. Some friends will go off to Montreal, ask me if I want to come. It's like, no, we're gonna stay. Or we might be going to Montreal, but we're going for a different purpose. To succeed in having that work-life balance, or work boxing balance, if you will, you have to have a strict schedule, and you need people to hold you accountable to it. I'll sit down with Jill, my head coach. I'll sit down with my strength and conditioning coach. Often we'll invite my athletic therapist, and we all build a schedule saying, if this is my goal, this is what I need to be doing to achieve it. My team does so much for me that I really want to make them proud and happy. So that's what keeps me accountable, trying to make sure I don't disappoint them.
Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bar!
What drew me to Beaver was that it's downtown, it's accessible, it's affordable, but that's not why I love Beaver. Why I love Beaver is a very community-oriented club. It's like a big family. You become friends with your training partners, and it's just a place that you want to keep going back to. Competition was on my mind when I got there, but I immediately sensed when you got there that it's a place where you have to work your way up. And so I joined the recreational class, and I worked really hard, and I felt like I was screaming like, somebody notice me. And I actually recall Jill coming up to me on one of my first days where we were doing partner drills, and she said, you look like you've done this before.
Drive with your elbows. Don't force it, just let the flow happen. There we go. Go for it.
The interesting part is in terms of the boxing world, I'm still actually kind of a baby. You know, I've only been doing it 3.5 years. I only have 17 fights, which, not beginner level, but, you know, compared to all the advanced people who have 50 to 100 fights, I think I've done pretty well. I won provincials as a novice. I actually had 9 fights. My opponent had over 40. For me, that was the first step in terms of something I've been chasing, you know, my entire life. Like, I'd won the provincial championships, and I was going to nationals. I was on Team Ontario. Like, that was cool. I just kept doing it. You know, I've been boxing still ever since. I've got 17 fights now, but I'm transitioning to MMA.
This is the mental toughness part. The end of the training session, when it's the bag sprint time. Let's go. part of training where like you hit that wall, but you have to bust right through it. Because it's the only way to win. You gotta be willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's some of the worst pain in the world. It's worth it to win. It really is.
45 seconds. All right, on the floor, please.
Transitioning to MMA makes sense. I mean, I want to be a professional, and the problem with pro boxing for women is there's not a lot of opportunity. I've definitely probably missed out on a lot of fight opportunities because there's just nothing around and there's no competitors. I mean, a couple of female boxers get those opportunities, but it's not every woman does in boxing. I think it's kind of an old boys club still. But with MMA being more new, more mainstream, I mean, you've got women who are sharing cards with men on pay-per-views. Like that's huge. That's significant. I mean, that happens maybe once in a blue moon in the boxing world. I mean, it's incredible that this is happening for MMA. So that's why I'm kind of diverting over into MMA. So it's pretty exciting, actually. The path I'm on now.
It's race pace. I want you as if you're in a match, a tough match, and you gotta leave everything on the bag. Okay, make your way back to your bag, you guys, 15 seconds. Some of you guys need to pick it up, not busy enough. Get ready, as soon as the bell goes green, you're on. 3, 2, 1, box!
When I first met Marija, she only had, I think, 6 bouts at the time, and I said to her, you know what? I know that I can get you enough bouts to get you to provincials, and I know I can get you to win and qualify for nationals, and then what you do at nationals is entirely up to you. I make no promises at that point, but I knew I could get her to nationals.
Nationals in 2016 took place in April. I was supposed to have 4 opponents in my category, but in the end I just had 1. That was actually the one fight where I've been clipped and I felt rocked. When the fight was finished and they raised their hand, I smiled, we hugged, I walked out, and then I went promptly to the washroom and cried.
Everyone has to go to nationals at least once to lose. It's part of the process. Most times you have to go and lose and see what you need to be in order to come back the next year and be the champ.
I just thought I hadn't boxed to my potential, but then when I stepped back and we watched the video, it was honestly at that point the best I had ever boxed. So I was actually very proud of that fight. And I left that nationals thinking like, I'm gonna win this next year, and we did. My relationship with Jill is an awesome one. She is a fantastic coach. I respect her a lot. She's a 2-time national champion.
Ready? Okay, that's it.
If you talk to anyone who's involved in the boxing community in Canada, especially in Ontario, and you say, who's the #1 person supporting women's boxing, they'll say Jill Perry. Boxing goes beyond the ring, like it's only like a fraction of it happens in the ring. It happens outside, like how much you're sleeping, what you're eating. And so Jill's there to help me with all those elements. Like we'll go get pedicures, we'll have dinner together at her house. She'll host me often and other athletes. She cares a lot for her fighters, and it's not just caring inside the ring, she cares for you outside. Yeah, she's a big part of my life.
Just because I'm not here doesn't mean I don't want you working hard, because I do find out, I do ask. So if you're being a slacker, I know, I'll find out. Not that I'm looking at you, Welly.
Yeah, the training is hard and grueling, and dieting is hard and grueling, but the hardest part's the personal life, because it really does take a lot of time away from her, and I do feel the guilt about it. I really do.
Yeah, like it's backwards. Like your player 1 is in the player 2 slot. Oh shit. Oh, you did. I died within 10 seconds. I swear. This is what happens. These games.
not gonna die.
Okay. Good, because I felt.
But I also don't know all the secrets.
Well, she thinks she can just take this big game away.
But she did!
Oh, damn.
I train 6 days a week, and there are some nights where I'm gone all night because I'm doing 2 sessions. And, you know, she's been really great. I think the biggest thing is she struggles with some stuff. She actually has depression and anxiety. And I've always been there for her whenever she's had her tough times. And she's always been there for me because she knows how badly I want this. And she knows that it's not that I don't want to be spending the time with her, it's that I need to do this to achieve the goals that I want. You know, and some of that is, you know, I want to turn pro and I want to be successful and I want to be able to give us both this life that we never thought we could achieve, you know. Like, she comes from very little. Like, my family, I mean, we, you know, typical middle class, I guess, but I've always wanted to do things like travel the world, and I want to do it through fighting. I choose to not have much of a social life because I don't have time for one anyway, but because I want to spend the free time I have with her because I miss her. You know, there are nights where, you know, I come home from my first session and I really don't want to go back out. Like, I'm tired and I miss her, and like I don't want to go back out, but I do. Like, I do it anyway because I know that I have to. I know that it means that I can be successful. If ever there was a night that was really bad, where I know she was having an exceptionally just bad day, because I mean, you don't know with mental illness, right? You don't know what's going on in their heads. You'll never understand it. I would tell my coaches, like, look, I can't come in. I gotta be here. I gotta be here for her. You know, I'm willing to make the sacrifices when she really needs it. She's my family. We've been together almost 7 years, and she's been with me my entire fight career. The fact that she's still with me is amazing because I know it's not easy on her. She's the one that suffers the most. Out of everybody, like her and my family, like they suffer the most because they see me the least. She was the one that picks me up when I fall sometimes, and that's the stuff that nobody else sees. Like, not my coaches, not my friends, not the people who see you fight. They just see the fight. They don't see all the behind the scenes stuff when you mentally break because you don't think you're good enough. But she's what really helps me push through. So I'm thankful that she's sticking with me.
Ready? Box! Last round! Last round of the bag! Time! Okay, you guys. As promised, bag work is done for the night. I'm gonna give you 2 rounds off.
Oh my God, I love it out here. In the winter when you come out, it's like steaming. It's okay. I like saying to myself, like, when I came out here, I was like, there's no way Natalie's doing this. Like, that's my opponent in nationals, so it's necessary. I'm just like, it feels like it's like non-optional. It's like, if you want to win, you have to do it. Like, I don't know. That's how I think of it. Like, and then it's not hard to do because like, it's not an option. Like, do I want to win? Like, yeah, then gotta go, gotta do it. But it's not fun. My number one goal this year is to medal at Worlds. So winning was everything. And then we got there, and for a variety of reasons, there was no competition. So we won by walkover. And that is the worst way to win. I was okay with it this year because it wasn't about nationals, it's about Worlds. And so that was fine. So now we can really do the heavy lifting, which is gonna be literally heavy lifting. Getting a lot stronger, boxing more, taking fights, pick up some of the US girls, have bouts with them, and work towards getting on the podium in India. There are not a lot of light heavyweight and heavyweight, even middleweight fighters in Ottawa, Ontario, or even Canada. a very shallow pool of us. So to get quality bouts, it often takes a lot of time or money because there's a lot of travel.
Of all my bouts, I've had to travel for them. I've had to go to Montreal, Laval, the Quebec area. There's a big fight scene there. There's a big fight scene in Toronto too, but it costs more for us to go there because it usually means staying overnight. In terms of getting high quality female sparring for boxers, right here in Ottawa, it's definitely challenging. I mean, not just the fighting, but the training. Like, Marija is the only female in Ottawa that I can spar with.
Often we have to go international. For instance, yesterday we drove to the States, had a bout lined up, got there, she wasn't there. It can be a bit frustrating when you don't get many fights and you think you have one and then it falls through. But it is part of the sport. That's part of the sport that in its current state for women's boxing. That's why being on Team Canada was a huge thing for us, so we could get the opportunity to get more international fights.
As a woman, you almost have to take whatever opportunity you're presented with. I have 3 exhibitions on my record, but it's still fight experience.
Often you need to work with athletes from different sports, different weight categories to kind of piece together the sparring you need. So I'm very fortunate that I have Max in town. She is the tall orthodox fighter that I often encounter in my matches.
All right, Max. So this is what we do this for, right? You know what to do. Throw her off.
You need to be able to turn it on, because sometimes we get distracted. Lots of things can happen in a bout. This is one of those bouts.
Long range is your friend. Medium range, get your shots off, get the hell out of there. Or right up, right.
This is where, remember I was saying, you need to be mentally sharp. If you're not feeling it physically, you need to feel it mentally, right? Because mental toughness can carry you a long way.
Do your thing. Light feet, fast hands.
Let's go back in. So get a nice deep breath in. Just your ring.
Let's have some fun, Max. Time to go to work, man.
You're telegraphing a little bit. I'm seeing it before you're throwing it. You're just kind of pulling it back a little bit. So just keep it nice and tight. Throw from some nice tight guard, okay?
Gotta put a little bit more stank on that jab, all right? And when you're L-stepping, you're still backing up like this, all right? Spin on your foot like hard, and then come back with the right hand, all right? If she starts wailing away and you have to dance up, that's fine. But you gotta throw after that. It's the Caitlin, it's not, that's only part of it. Blocking's part of it, fire back at the end of it, all right?
It was an okay round. Was
the first one better?
Yeah.
The first round?
Yeah.
Why?
Just a little bit more accurate with what you were throwing and just look cleaner.